Okay, so in this video we're going to make one of these layers move. We're going to animate the witch. For that reason I'm going to turn Santa off and we can just see what's going on here, and for the time being I'm going to turn the window off as well, so we've got a better idea of what's going on. Now at the moment, as we left it in the last video, we can see that the witch doesn't appear until 4 seconds in, and she's gone by 10. I'm just going to rejig that. In the last video I used Alt and the square brackets to resize this timeline. You can also drag the footage like that. Okay, so back to the beginning here, and we're going to put the witch in her start position off screen there. So the witch is here off the edge of the screen, and what we can do is we can click on the witch layer, the little arrow or the little triangle to the left of it. This brings up some of the animation controls. Under transform we get things like anchor point position, which is what we're going to use, scale, rotation and opacity. What we need to do to record these keyframes, what we do is we click the little stopwatch here, okay, and you can see that that has now created a yellow keyframe here, and we're going to estimate that it's going to take the witch maybe 5 seconds to travel across the sky. So we'll go like that, and we just drag her there like that, and we can see that it's left another little keyframe, and when we scroll back we can see that she moves along that line. If we press space, it's running through it slowly, but we can get a good idea of what it's going to look like when she does. You could of course use the RAM preview here. Now her moving in a straight line is all well and good, but it's not particularly interesting, so what we'll do is just play around with these handles a little bit, so we can drag them like this and like that, and maybe just bring that curve in a little bit more and that curve in a bit more. So she's going to pass right in front of the moon, but she's going to sort of swoop up. Okay, so we've changed our motion path, and you can see now that she goes whoosh up and past the moon. So again, she's not actually really going to appear in our scene until somewhere around 2 or 3 seconds in. But if you want to change that, you can simply click and drag across these keyframes like that and move them up to, let's say, 2 seconds, something like that. And you can see as well that she just stays there until she's ready to go. There we are. Off she goes. Great. Now it might be that we want to add a little bit more detail to this. If I just zoom in, here we go. A quick RAM preview. Okay, she shoots on, she sort of slows down and she goes off again. Lovely. Okay. What we're going to do, just to add a little bit more kind of animation to it, is to have a look at the scale property. So we'll go to this point here at the start of her motion, and I'm going to scale her down to, let's say, 80%. You can just click in the box here and press 80, and by the time she's got to the end of her animation, let's say she's at 110%, for example. So the idea is that over time she will get larger as well, as if she's sort of flying through the air. Zoom out just a little bit and we'll have a look at a RAM preview of that. as you can see, it's carrying on for the rest of the animation there. You can see her getting slightly larger as she comes on like that. Okay. So there we go. We've made an animation of the witch travelling across the screen using just 2 keyframes in the position, start and the end, and 2 keyframes in the scale. And with the position, we've modified the motion path to make these curves, and you can modify them how you please, really. We can look at the graph editor for position. Okay, so once we turn these on to be visible in the graph editor, the reason we haven't turned the others on is because they're not being used. We can click this button here, graph editor. Okay, and what this does is it allows us to play with the motion. You'll see that the witch comes in reasonably slowly and then sort of shoots up and goes out quite fast, and you can see here that that's our motion there. So we can click on a particular keyframe. I'll just smooth it out a bit so she's a bit more fluid. So there we go, we can see we've done that. Now another thing is that she just sort of sits on that line all the time. She doesn't sort of follow it as such. If we look at her rotation there, so you can see that the angle of the broomstick is like that. That doesn't change, so even when she's up here, her angle hasn't changed. So it's not really like she's swooping around. An easy way to alter that is I'll just turn off Graph Editor for the time being. We'll come back to where she crosses the moon. And we'll go to, make sure we've got the witch layer selected. We'll go Layer, Transform, and then this one here, Auto Orient. And we can go to its Auto Orientation, so it's press Orient Along Path and OK. You can see she does rotate a little bit, so if we just alter that by, there we go, I'm going to put the broomstick on the line there like that. You can see that we haven't clicked the stopwatch for rotation. This is because we always want the rotation to be at 19 degrees throughout our whole animation, so there's no point keyframing it. But you can see now that she sort of moves with the line. So if we just look at those 2 key points again, you can see that the broomstick is on the line here, and at the end, near the end, it's still on the line. So she is rotating with the line. It just adds a little bit more depth to it. So we'll have another little RAM preview just to have a look at that. There we go. Okay, stop that, and I'll file and save. That will update our save file, and in the next video we'll have a look at animating the Santa.